Hi guys, and welcome to Total Technik. Today we're going to be showing you how to remove the front bumper. This is from the Audi A6, S6 or RS6, the C5 Saloon and Avant. One thing very quickly to note is if you've got the A6, we're working on an RS6 today, but if you've got the A6 you may see that your bumper's kind of divided in half into a lower section and an upper section. That doesn't affect anything at all. It will still come off exactly the same as if you've got a single skin bumper as we have on this particular car. So don't worry if yours has got the split, this video will be absolutely fine for you. So let's crack on. Now the point where the front wing meets your front bumper, just here, this joint here, the way that they're connected together is there's three bolts that actually pass through in this direction. They come from the bumper through into the wing in that manner, and each of them has a bolt on the end of it, and obviously you bolt those together and that keeps this gap nice and tight. So what we have to do is we have to actually access the nuts, rather than bolts, the nut heads which are on the inside of the wing. So to do that we actually need to get up underneath the wing and drop the wheel liner out of the way, and then we'll be able to gain access to these nuts down here and slacken those off, and then we'll be able to separate the two. But without getting those out, these two will remain as one. So that's the first thing we need to do. So let's take a look. So to gain access to the nuts that hold the wing onto the bumper, we need to get around the wheel arch liner. If you've got the softer type like an Audi A6, which is kind of made of a soft bitumen material, what you can do is you can release some of these screws just enough to kind of fold it back a little bit, just so you can kind of gain access to the screws. If you've got a hard one, such as we've got on the RS6, such as this one, which is made of a moulded plastic with vents in it, then that's a little bit more involved. We've actually recorded a video on how to get this out of the way, how to remove this. We'll add a link for you again on how to remove the wheel arch liner if you're unsure on how to do that. It's fairly simple, it's removing the screws and dropping it down, but do check that video out if you're unsure, so there'll be a link for you there as well. So let's get this removed and then we can gain proper access. So in this shot here, this is where the wheel arch liner was. This is the actual wheel arch here. As you see towards the back there, we've got the three nuts that are holding the bumper onto the wing. Those are the three nuts that we need to remove. As you can see, unfortunately someone's removed this bumper before and hasn't refitted them very well at all. One of them, I think the middle one, was it? Yeah, the middle one doesn't look like it's been fitted at all, and the bottom one's not got a washer on it. Very, very sloppy, but there we go. Now what we need to kind of gain access to that is a size 10, and you want a long size 10 bit to go on your socket, and you want a nice long bit. I'm actually going to make a double bit with a flexi. You don't need to, but it does actually need to be quite long. So this is what we're going to be using to get that out. So let's get it done. I think that's off. Yeah, there it is. Okay, yeah, that's not a factory nut, as we were discussing a little bit earlier, but irrespective, what you want to do is remove all three of those. So get those removed and we can crack on. And quickly, just before I shoot round, obviously we're going to do exactly the same, remove those same three nuts on the opposite side as well. It's one thing to point out, this particular car doesn't have them. I think it's already been removed before. But sometimes you'll have, depending on what model you've got, you might have a plastic bracket that sits around this bottom area here, and you may have screws, one or more, which actually go under the wheel arch liner. So something to bear in mind is if you do have you might remove the wheel arch liner and there'll be a screw in there, for example, that would need to be removed. Do bear that in mind. It can vary a little bit, like I say, depending on what model you've got, but do have a look. If you've got a plastic bracket down here, which you likely will have, make sure that you remove any screws that appear to be attaching that bracket to the bottom edge of the bumper here. So what you want to do is get that so that it's moving nice and freely, as we can see there. That's what you want, because once we've got it removed, we're actually going to pop these two apart. So make sure it does that, make sure there's no screws in there, and then we can crack on. So next we've got a couple of screws that go up underneath the through the bumper skin into the inner crash bar bracket. So what we need to do is just remove your fog light grille, and that can vary a little bit depending on what model that you have. On the RS6 you can remove it by attacking the inside edge, just pull that out and then slide that out. You do have to remove your fog light grille beforehand, and then we'll gain access to these screws, which I'll show you now. Now, what you should have, unfortunately, whoever's removed this bumper hasn't bothered putting them back in. I'm hoping that you can just about see that. Just the end of my finger there. There's that hole just there. So when you look up underneath where this fog light grille has been removed, instead of seeing an empty hole, you will see a standard hex-headed bolt that runs through there. So then what you want to do is quite simply to grab your your wrench, put that on that, and undo those two bolts. They are quite long, but do keep working with it, and they'll come out no problem at all. I'm sorry that I can't show you, but as I said, they are missing on this car, but they are standard hex bolts. So just undo those on both sides, and then we can move on to the next stage. So we have removed the 3 bolts on the inside of the wing there. We've removed the 2 bolts up under the front there for the go into the crash bar. So the whole thing is basically ready to be removed. One thing we need to do before we can actually get this out now is just to release the bumper from the wing. What they have just here is they have a little kind of bracket system. There's a little plastic bracket on the bottom of the wing here with little tabs that snap into these little plastic holes. So what you want to do is just lift those out and make sure that all 3 of these holes here are clear, like so, and yeah, give it a bit of a wobble. That's perfect there. So what you want to do is do exactly the same on both sides. If that's still in place, obviously you won't be able to move it forward. And another thing to bear in mind is when you're kind of wobbling the bumper, trying to kind of wiggle it out of situ, these sometimes can pop back in. So if you do feel a bit of resistance, all of a sudden it's not going as it should, come back and check these sides just in case that's snapped back in. But that's what you want. So release that both sides, and then we can get it removed. So what I'm going to do now is just put some cardboard down. Just so I've got something to lift the bumper down onto. You can put a blanket down or something like that. Just to help stop getting the bumper scratched as you lower it down to the floor. So we're now ready to remove the bumper from the car. Do bear in mind that there is going to be some wiring for your fog lights, parking sensors, that kind of thing. Behind it, they're still going to be attached to the car, so you want to remove it quite slowly. If you've got headlight washers as well, you'll have the pipe work for the headlight washers as well. So you've got to be quite careful as you lower this down. Don't just wrench it off the front of the car. So what you want to do is just come in very, very carefully, grab it by the back of the crash bar, just give it a bit of a wobble forward. Like so, and you should feel it release on both sides. Okay, so there we go, that's that side down. What we've got, we've got quite a short pipe for the headlight washers on this side. Hopefully you can see that all right in the video. This one's right here, and that's stopping me being able to lower it down completely to the ground. So I'm just going to rest that there for a second, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to disconnect this washer pipe here. But before I do that, I'm going to make sure that I've got a drip tray, because obviously when I disconnect this we're going to get quite a lot of water that comes out. So I'll do that next. So I've just got myself a little drip tray, I've popped that down below. Now to remove the pipe, you've got this clip in the middle here. Easiest way is to kind of attack it from the back, push it outwards like so, and then exactly the same on the other side of it. Wet hands now. There it goes. Okay, that's unusual. And normally at that stage you would get a lot of washer fluid that comes out.
This car must be bone dry. I have to check that. But yeah, that's how you remove it, but do expect that quite a lot of water is going to come out of that pipe, which is obviously why I got the drip tray beforehand, but not needed in this case. So that's that removed. So we've got a couple of electrical connectors at the top here. We've got the horn, electrical connector there, and down below it towards the back, down there. What we have down there is the connector for the fog light. So let's get these disconnected. So these are the normal Audi type connectors. If you just carefully go in with a flathead screwdriver and twist, get a nice click sound, that's perfect. And give it a wobble, it should come off. There we go, like so. So the type of connectors is exactly the same on the fog lights as well. So get that removed, and you need to do exactly the same on the other side. Just a quick note for those who have parking sensors: when you come across onto the other side, you're going to have an additional connector, this one here, which is obviously for your parking sensor loom. So you've got 3, but again exactly the same type. So remove all 3, including the parking sensors if you have them. So with all of the electrical connectors removed, you can just slide this further forward, like so. And that is our front bumper completely removed and good to go.